Things just took a major turn for the Toronto Blue Jays as a brand new report has dropped surrounding Bichette and his future in Toronto that not only is very intriguing, but things have shifted towards a interesting direction that no one expected heading into this season. I'm going to break down this new report and discuss what it means going forward, as well as a concerning update surrounding George Springer. A ton to go over today, but before you get into it all, if you're a part of the percentage or aren't subscribed to the channel, you guys have been fantastic with the support, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys again. You guys have been beasts. Folks, a lot to go over today. The Jays are coming off a big sweep, an MLB, a historic sweep, putting up 45 runs in 3 games, 63 hits. And within all that, a new report dropped from an MLB insider revealing some interesting details surrounding the future of one player in particular, which is Bichette. And let's dive right into it here. So Jim Bowden was on the JD Bunkus show. And he basically said, and they started talking about Bichette. And this is something that heading into this season, everyone thought Bichette was good as gone. You think about Bob Nightingale, he dropped the report that the Jays are going to let him walk, all these different things. Jim Bowden went on to say he's going to get 170 to 180 million, but I think Bichette will stay in Toronto. And that's what he said, of course, ahead of this offseason. And obviously, all the conversations are going to be on the regular season right now, and rightfully so. They're in the best spot they've been in the Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. era, and the best spot they've been in a decade. But there is still a conversation to be had, and on this off day, I wanted to kind of dive into it because Bichette is a very unique player in the sense of the Jays probably heading into the season were thinking, okay, we'll probably let him walk. We'll build around Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Now, with the success that they've seen, I don't know if they can afford to let him walk. You can really make a case now that this current team that they have, you build around Bo, you build around Vladdy and Addison Barger. That could be a bit of like a trio, a big three that can really be perennial AL East contenders for years to come, which is crazy to say following last year. But there was a poll that was done, and you can see here, Bichette has 15 home runs, 33 doubles, 141 hits, 2.9 F4, and 124 WRC plus with a pretty low K rate this year, entering his age 28 season. How much does he sign for his next deal? And I want you to let me know down below in the comments out of these options, or maybe you can make your own options as well, what you think his contract is, and then also within that comment, what you think he should be paid. Now, the winner here was 200 to 249 million. We'll dive into a report that dropped from I believe it was Scotty Mitchell. We'll dive into it in a little bit. And or Gregor Chisholm, that's who it was from, and then kind of diving into what the current structure is. But 200 to 249 million. Now, obviously, Jim Bowden says he's going to get 170 to 180. I think that there's a good case to be made anywhere between 150 and 250. I think anywhere in the middle there, the Jays probably, will try to negotiate him down. Now, I don't know if he's going to, approach the $250 million category just because of the fact that his there's some underlying concerns, not with the bat necessarily and with his defense a little bit, but also just his, athletic ability. He has seen his sprint speed fall off a cliff now, whether that's because he put on a lot of muscle. There's obviously that. And the response to this was, in case it's unclear, I'm not saying, and people started talking about, similar AAV to Trey Turner, and Brandon makes a good point here. BK, given Bo doesn't carry the speed or defensive Trey, I would think the early bat aging of the Turner contract would impact the market a bit if he was being used as a comparison. If the season finished now, he'd be under 110 WRC plus in 2 or 3 contract season. Age helps for sure. This, of course, talking about Trey Turner, and obviously at the time of the Trey Turner contract, he had a lot more upside in the sense of defense, speed, all those different things. And you're looking at his stats this year. The peripherals, fantastic. He has the highest expected batting average in the league. Yes, he chases a little bit, doesn't walk a lot, and of course, when you're the front office, you're going to be using these things against him in negotiations. Obviously not in a negative manner, but in just, he's basically back to his career averages this season now with a little bit more power in there. His, fielding, despite, from watching the games every day, it obviously looks improved. He's at a minus, I believe, 6 or minus 8 range. I think it's minus 6. Outs above average. Arm strength this week. Sprint speed's week. Like, the fielding and running has fallen off of the running specifically has fallen off of a clip, going from 87th percentile to now 22nd percentile. He doesn't try to steal bases. He was once a 20 base stealer early on, 2021. His range, though, it's pretty bad. Like, he's not a good defensive shortstop, but I think he's serviceable out there. And we know there were times where he was a disaster at shortstop. I don't think he's that anymore, but he's also, his range isn't great. He's not going to make those crazy plays. But I still think he's a cornerstone of this franchise. And if you can get him at a reasonable deal, $200 million, whatever the contract ends up being, I think you do that. I think you keep together Addison Barger, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and Bichette, and then build around them. They have a lot of money coming off the books this offseason. You have money that you can use to spend on pitching elsewhere and even some more bats, and Rogers isn't afraid to spend, and I think this can be the beginning of what we were hoping to see over the past few years, while they were on the rookie deals and things like that. But you got Vladdy extended now. You have clearly something working with this team, and whether you want to call it a fluke or not, I think this is a sustainable thing, because you keep in mind, you'll have not to get too far ahead of myself, but you'll have Anthony Santander coming back at some point, either this year or next year. You have a lot of guys that you can build around. I think Bichette's at the forefront of this. And this was the article from, Reporter as well. Heading into Wednesday, Bichette compiled 20 wins above replacement, which is comparable to Corey Seager when he signed his 10-year deal worth $325 million. He's not going to get $325 million. It's also significantly better than the deal that Swanson got at 7 years, $177. I essentially think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. Now, again, they paid Vladdy now $35.7 million through 2039. But you see the second paragraph. The resources are there. The lone uncertainty is whether the current front office wants to use them on Bichette. Last year, he seemed as good as gone. This season, he improved his play and has coincided with the Jays' remarkable run through the AL East. They're better off together than they are apart. And at some point this winter, we'll find out whether both parties feel the same way. And Vladdy said multiple times, and Keegan Matheson has came on my videos and said multiple times that Bo wants to be in Toronto, and to listen to what he says carefully because he, uses his words. And I think that if anything, like he wanted to be in Toronto before based on what he was saying with, wanting to win with Vladdy. Now that Vladdy's extended, and he also said that after Vladdy extended, but now that he's officially extended and the Jays are actually winning, obviously we'll have to see what they do the rest of the season. I think it's things have taken a turn for the good and for the better here. And I think Bo will probably end up signing an extension somewhere in the range of, 200 to 250 million. And you build around them. And luckily, there's no salary cap yet. But maybe that'll happen in the 2027 lockout season. But that's a conversation for another day. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on all of that. Now, I want to dive into a bit of a concerning report here from George Springer. Now, this was yesterday from Keegan Matheson. He was supposed to play Springer, that is, in yesterday's AAA game. And Keegan Matheson said no George Springer in the lineup today. When we spoke with John Schneider pregame yesterday, he was clear. Or he was just about to speak to Springer, and there were some tests he still needed to clear. So this was before yesterday's game, and he ultimately missed yesterday's game, albeit Andres Gimenez was in. So then we were thinking, okay, he'll probably play today and be good for the Dodgers series starting tomorrow. And this is today, as of about an hour ago. This is today's lineup. So no George Springer once again today, which means clearly some tests he failed. He's still feeling the lingering effects from the concussion. Not very good at all, because obviously you're at a point now where heading into the Dodgers series, you're facing two lefties, and then you're facing one of the best pitchers in baseball in Yoshinobu Yamamoto. You would like to have your best hitter back, obviously, and Bichette's probably their hottest hitter right now, but George Springer has been statistically one of the best hitters in baseball. He's out yet again, so clearly there was some sort of, setback or concussion protocol that he failed, which means at the end of the day, he's going to be out now for, I'm expecting mid-August, maybe like August 13th to 15th, probably next week till he returns. Obviously, that could happen faster, but you play the Dodgers, you play the Cubs, you play the Rangers. It's going to be some pretty rough games and a lot of lefties coming up as well. So it would have been a good spot for George Springer to get in, but he's not playing today as of this afternoon's game. We'll probably hear something tomorrow. We usually get the injury news, a big injury and update dump before the start of each series. So tomorrow against the Dodgers, we'll probably get a late night update, but we might not even get one, or we might get one today. Either way, I'll keep you up to date every step of the way. So let me know down below what your thoughts are. I'm looking at the pitching probables here. Scherzer, Kershaw tomorrow. Bassett, Snell on Saturday. Eric Lauer, Yamamoto on Sunday. Not favorable for the Jays. Bassett struggles on the road. Eric Lauer, he's been fantastic, but we'll have to see what he does against the Dodgers. And then, of course, Max Scherzer versus Kershaw. Let me know down below what your prediction is for this series. I think the Jays probably take, 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, something like that. I don't think it's going to be a sweep here. It's going to be a tough one either way. But let me know down below your thoughts on that. And, of course, the Bo Bichette, coming off of a crazy series, what you think an extension for him will look like.